Welcome to the Graves Recovery Camp show, where vibrant health is a way of life. I'm your host, Jen Danielle. I'm a real person healing my own Graves' disease with conventional and functional medicine. And now I guide other people to do the same. Are you ready to learn more about healing your Graves' disease? All right, let's get started. At Graves Recovery Camp, your wellness is very important to us, and every care has been taken to bring you the best content to help you achieve your wellness goals. Content from Graves Recovery Camp in no way constitutes medical advice and is not intended to be a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your qualified healthcare providers with any questions you may have regarding a health condition. We also advise you to consult with your healthcare team before changing your diet or lifestyle. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking it as a result of the use of this site content. We make no guarantees about your experience or results from use of our content. You are using this content at your own risk, and you release Graves Recovery Camp, its officers, employees, and consultants of any liability relating to your use. Hello everyone, it's Jen Danielle. Welcome to the first episode of the Graves Recovery Camp show. I'm really excited to be here today with all of you. Today we're going to cover two topics. The first topic is the format and programming of this show, and second is my journey with Graves' disease. So let's get into it. First, with the programming of this show, it will be a mix of me sharing different ideas and information that I've learned about Graves' disease. Next, we'll be interviewing and talking to people from the Graves Recovery Camp community so they can share their story of hope and healing with all of you to know that it is possible. And the third area will be interviews with experts who have a unique opinion, perspective to share about Graves' disease. I expect this to be a very rich conversation that will include a lot of different aspects about Graves' disease, not only what is happening in the body with Graves' disease, but also what are things that are happening in the environment, different economic pressures that are out there that actually affect the disease as well. And ultimately, what I want to do is take all of this information and first help as many people as I can get better with their Graves' disease, and then take those healthy people who have a perspective on Graves and start to change how this disease is treated, especially within the United States. There is just not a lot of research that has been happening over the last 50 years in terms of different ways to treat the disease. There's a lot of research going on that could help some of the symptoms, but the protocol for treating the disease hasn't really changed in the last 60 years. So I think there's a big opportunity there, but initially we need to help the people who are going through that disease right now get the help they need. And then the next conquest on my list is to change how the disease is treated. So again, with the programming for this show, we'll be having information from me, just like I'm sharing now. Next, we'll be talking to people who are in the Graves Recovery Camp community, working on their healing, and they'll be sharing their stories. And finally, we'll be interviewing experts who have specific ideas about Graves. So that is the programming. Now let's turn to my journey with Graves' disease. And this started a few years ago, very innocently. I had been experiencing a lot of the symptoms of Graves, but I did not realize that at all. I went into the dentist for a regular teeth cleaning, and the hygienist actually was feeling my neck, and it was actually a different hygienist than I usually go to. And she felt my neck and she said, do you have something going on with your throat? And I said, no. And she says, well, I would suggest that you get it checked out because it seems like you have a lump here. And when I heard lump, of course, my mind went directly to cancer. And I was thinking about that. So, of course, I procrastinated. And I discussed it with my family. And my mom suggested, well, why don't you get a blood test and go see your primary care physician? And I thought, well, that's a good course of action. Why not? So I called and said what was going on, and I was able to get some blood tests done before I went and saw my primary care doctor. And once I got into his office, he was looking at the blood tests and noticed one of the markers for Graves was triple that what it should be. So that was not a good sign. And a funny thing with my annual checkup, I usually do that with my sister, and we were going to make a day of it and go have lunch and do some shopping, have some fun. But what ended up happening was my primary care referred me to an ear, nose, and throat doctor for an appointment that afternoon. So my sister was with me. We went right to that appointment, and the physician felt my neck, looked at the blood test, and said, yeah, it looks like you have Graves' disease, but I can't treat that. You need to see an endocrinologist. And in my area of the country, how that works is you still need a referral, even if your health care does not require a referral. And once I did get that referral, it took a couple of months actually to get in and see the physician for the first time. So looking back, if I had stopped and realized the symptoms of the disease instead of just explaining the symptoms away, I would have known something was going on. It first started with the shakiness. I drink coffee, and I was just shakier than normal. I would hold out my hand and you could visibly see it shaking. And that might be 3 hours after I had coffee. But I just thought, well, it's just because I'm shaky and maybe I'm a little high strung, which I am. And it's probably the caffeine just not wearing off yet. But that was a sign of Graves. Next, I had very itchy legs. And it was odd. It was right below my knee, very, very itchy. And then my hands itched, the palms of my hands. And there were little tiny bumps, and they would just itch and itch and itch, and very hot. Then I would eat everything in sight. I would bring to work, I would bring a lunch, and I would bring a morning snack and an afternoon snack. And I would hit the vending machine, which I had never been someone who went to the vending machine at all. First, I think it's a bad value, very convenient, but you could do better by bringing something. And I would visit the vending machine for a snack, maybe in the morning, in the afternoon. I was always hungry. Then I would get home, have dinner. After dinner, I'd have a little snack. And then after putting the kids to bed, I might have a bowl of cereal or another snack before I finally went to bed. Another aspect was that I wasn't sleeping hardly at all. I would go to bed around midnight, get up at 6, which for me now, I get between 8 and 10 hours of sleep a night. So that was very little sleep for me, and just another symptom of the disease. Another aspect that I just explained away was the shortness of breath and how fast my heart was beating. And I really noticed it at night when I would be reading my kids a bedtime story, and I would be short of breath. I would lose my breath as I'm paging through these very simple bedtime stories like Green Eggs and Ham. That wasn't normal, but I just thought that, oh, it's because I just ran up the stairs and I'm reading now. That's why I'm short of breath. But it wasn't. It was my heart racing because of Graves. So once I got to see the endocrinologist, that first appointment lasted all of 15 minutes, and she just confirmed that, yes, I do have Graves, and after taking my heart rate and blood pressure, she did prescribe a, what is it called? The name is escaping me right now. It's some blood pressure medication. And she did prescribe another medication for thyroid to suppress the activity so that it would take care of the initial symptoms that I was experiencing and just get rid of those. I saw that physician for another 2 appointments, and on the 3rd appointment, it was recommended to me that I do a treatment called radioactive iodine, or RAI treatment. And I went and I took that recommendation, and she wanted to get it all scheduled up. And I said, I just want to take some time to think about this and do some research on it. And sure enough, I did some research, and I found that 80% of people who do have that treatment end up having hypothyroidism, which is a whole different set of issues, and it's not treating the root cause of the problem. At that point, I thought it was a good idea to start getting some different opinions. I made an appointment with a naturopath who was just a breath of fresh air. First off, the appointment lasted an hour, and it was all about me as a whole person. The physician wanted to know about my work and about my family life and what I did on a daily basis. She was really treating me as a whole person. And what she explained to me, and which really resonated with me, was the idea that Graves was a symptom of an underlying issue where my body was out of balance. And she explained that your body wants to be in balance. And this is something that has been triggered but could be reversed through a lot of different activities, thinking about the whole person. So mind, body, being, all of it all together. And she was very open to working with the endocrinologist so that we could have back and forth communication. Both physicians would know what the other is prescribing, so there weren't any issues with any kind of interactions of the supplements that I was being recommended by the naturopath with the other medication that was being recommended to me by the endocrinologist. So through that whole experience, I was able to slowly work out that I was able to get off of the heart medication, and over time was able to reduce the thyroid, the medication that reduces the thyroid output. And over time, I have been able to get myself into a much better situation, which is tremendous. Now I'm able to work out. I don't itch. My hands don't itch. My hair is not falling out. All of the things that were the symptoms of the disease right off the bat have been brought under control. I am very hopeful that with the right treatment and optimism, that people can find their way to healing so that they can avoid going into a situation that they remove their thyroid and then are dealing with continual blood tests for the rest of their lives, and just the other symptoms that happen when you do have hypothyroidism, which is, again, another host of problems that really can be devastating for a lot of people. With that, I want to wrap up. So in this episode, we did hear about the programming for Graves Recovery Camp show and a bit about my story. And I do hope that you find some inspiration to look at what you can do for your Graves' disease and get the right help and treatment for that. In our next episode, I will be covering the Graves Recovery Camp community, which is a community where you'll be guided to the better journey that you can have with Graves' disease. And with that, I want to thank you very much for listening. Bye. Were you recently diagnosed with Graves' disease? Are you feeling pressured to remove your thyroid? You may feel alone, where no one understands what you're going through, but I'm here to tell you there is hope. I believe with the right care and support, you can keep your thyroid, which is the reason for Graves Recovery Camp. It's a community-driven, step-by-step process designed to help you on your road to recovery. Graves Recovery Camp provides the guidance and support you need to mobilize your healthcare team and get better. If you believe that keeping your thyroid is the best choice, we would love to help you do just that. Head over to gravesrecoverycamp.com to join. Hi, it's Jen again. Just one more thing before you take off. Would you enjoy getting a few ideas on the gear you need to get your Graves healing journey started? Just head over to gravesrecoverycamp.com/gear guide. That's gravesrecoverycamp.com/gear guide. Drop in your email and you'll get your gear guide delivered to you. If you sign up, I hope you enjoy it.